Hey, Joe Gilder here. Welcome to another Behind the EP video. This time we're going to dive into my song Trade from my latest EP, Someone to Blame. If you have not checked that out yet, joegildermusic.com, or just go to your favorite music listening app and search my name. It will come up and it will be there and you can listen to it. By the way, if you didn't know, Someone to Blame is the first of 4 EPs I'm going to release this year. So I released that one on March 1st. And then every 3 months for the rest of the year, I'll be releasing more EPs. So I'm hoping to change things up, do maybe an acoustic one, maybe a reggae. I'm kidding, not a reggae one, but something. So if you're not subscribed to this channel or subscribed to my email list over at homestudiocorner.com, or some way to make sure, find a way to make sure if you want to hear those that you're connected so that you do hear about it once they are released. So this is one of the songs that was, as I recall, a little bit easier to write. It all started with this, whoa, and along to a simple progression, E major to A minor, kind of a fun little darker sound to the progression, and it kind of came together pretty quickly. So I'm going to hit play, let you listen to it for a minute, and then we'll dive into some of the production stuff behind the song.
Something for nothing. Trust somebody who knows. If you want something, gotta give something. That's just the way it goes. If that's the way it goes, let's make a trade. My truth for your lies. Let's make a trade. My lows for your highs. Let's make a trade. Myself for your disguise. Let's make a trade. Always screaming, if you could see them.
All right, so really fun song. My favorite thing about this, well, one of my favorite things is just the fun rhythm on the verses. So almost every chord is pushed. So instead of just being it's a real straight drum groove, but then everything underneath is pushing on the and of each bar, which makes for a really just kind of a fun, interesting groove. Here it is without the vocals. One second. Sorry, had a visitor. So yeah, it's got a cool groove. And then second verse. So that's the first thing is it's just big. Probably the biggest thing about this song that I like the most. I already said that once. I'm probably gonna say that 10 more times. I really like the electric guitar tone. I just went for kind of over the top, grindy kind of sounds. And then there's a third guitar that comes in for the intro and turnarounds.
You can't get something.
So we move on, we get to verse. The first chorus is just the 2 guitars. We add in the background vocals, which are really fun to have, and they've got a delay on them. So every time I sing Let's Make a Trade,
Let's make a trade. Let's make a trade. Let's make a trade.
and then I also sneak in the B3 there coming into the chorus. So very distorted, cranked up the distortion on the Leslie cabinet it's actually from Mainstage. Really cool sound, I really dig it. And it almost acts like another guitar in the chorus. If we mute the vocals, we can hear it a little bit better. So the first chorus is just a half chorus. It's a longer full chorus. So the first time I sing it, I only sing half of it, go right straight into verse 2. And the big difference here is we've added in organ. It's that same distorted organ, but to give it some interest, I put a tremolo plugin on there. So there's this X Trem plugin that essentially is going wah, 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 at 16th note beats or tempo. So this is the sound underneath. Add a just turned up all the way tremolo on 16th notes with like a square wave shape to it. With everybody else starting and stopping like they do, kind of ends up being pretty cool. Let's do that. Another thing from a production standpoint is I have acoustic guitars playing the exact same thing as the electrics, and just both panned hard left and right, just turn them up and rock. And it makes for a cool dynamic. It doesn't work always, but it's kind of neat to have the brightness and the pick noise of acoustic guitar blended with just the really aggressive electric. It has a cool way of blending together. Especially when it's played a little more open tuning style. Fun fact, these are actually the scratch acoustic guitars that I recorded before we tracked drums and bass, and I liked them so much I didn't think there was any reason to re-record them, so they made it into the final version. Case in point, always do your best to record good sound. Don't spend tons of time on your scratch tracks, wasting time there, but don't slap up a crappy mic and just expect it to be crappy. You may end up with a good performance, and you'll be glad you captured it well. In this scenario, I saved myself another 30 minutes or an hour of recording more acoustics because they were already recorded well. So combined with the electrics, it's pretty fun. So that's pretty much the production for all the main parts of the song. We get to the bridge and things break down a little bit. We've had that same kind of just straight rock and groove the entire song. It needed to change. And so the drummer laid out the first half of the bridge, and I kind of made it into this more ambient type sound. So what did I do to create that? Couple of things. First thing was I brought in a few really just ambient guitar sounds, electric guitars. So playing single notes, fairly overdriven but played lightly, and then with a ton of reverb behind them to just kind of swell up. Also brought in some piano, just hold down some low notes to add some extra texture down there. And then I also brought in like a keyboard pad. Kind of the same idea as that organ that we used in verse 2, but this is the same thing, a tremolo on like a very breathy sounding pad. That tremolo was actually built into the patch. I set it to the same tempo of the song and played it, and that's how that came along. And of course, what is a good bridge without a nice cymbal swell in there? So the bridge is broken into two halves. That cymbal swell ushers in the second half along with a reverse piano. Reverse pianos are so useful. Don't overdo it, but man, they can really help transition things. So in the second half, the drums come in, bass comes in, and then I also introduce these clapping on quarter notes, which seems like an odd thing to be clapping. He's playing kind of a 4 on the floor kick drum pattern, but if you listen to a lot of music I've listened to in the last couple of years, they've been doing a lot of clapping along with the 4 on the floor. So I actually did like a 8th note clap with emphasis on the quarter notes, but with the drums, it kind of works well. Whoops, that went back to the beginning. Sorry. Now, that feels like a very different sounding song. There's also a delay on those claps to make them even more kind of feel bigger for that section, because the section's very ambient and it builds up and then it drops out to just vocal and drums and really just vocal and drum. So I want it to be nice and ambient and a build up, kind of like on Someone to Blame, a build up and a drop down. You'll notice almost all these songs do that same dynamic structure, which is probably a weakness on my point, but I kind of like it. So it is what it is. But here's what that bridge sounds like with all those pieces put together. We still have the main rhythm, acoustic and electric guitars, but they're playing very lightly. The organ is out for this part of the song, and then those other elements that I introduced to you are in. So here's what that all sounds like played together.
You scratch my back, I scratch yours. You scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Couple other things about that bridge I forgot to mention. One is I add in a pretty fun delay on the vocal. And this is a delay I don't use too much. Where is it? No, never mind. I'm sorry. That's a different song. This is just a half note delay, like ping pong delay. So pan to one side, so it's bouncing back and forth. Very creepy, spooky sounding. But then on the tambourine, there are single tambourine hits that I recorded, and I added a groove delay to those. I think it was the groove delay. Yeah. This groove delay allows me to adjust the level and panning of each of the, of each of the taps on the delay. So this delay I have set up has 3 taps to it. The first 2 are pan left and right, and then the second 2 are also pan left and right, but there's some cool filter stuff happening that makes them sound a little different. So the tambourine hits, and then it also kind of moves around after the initial hit, which just to me was kind of interesting. So it's like 1, 2, 3, wah, wah. So that filter comes in, and there's also reverb on top of that. I thought that all sounded kind of interesting. And I think that was it. Final thing, coming out of there, I added a couple more guitars, just doing some like very Foo Fighters bendy parts on that B major there. And that just was the final piece of the puzzle that made this transition feel really good. Right here.
For your lies, let's make it straight. My lows for your highs. Let's make it straight. Myself for your disguise. Let's make it straight. My joy for your pain. Let's make it.
So pretty good build up into that final chorus. It's a half chorus and then a down, 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 down. And so it's the biggest part of the song. We've got everything that's been there for really the first 2 choruses. Except we're also reintroducing that pad that we had during the bridge. Same idea as the Someone to Blame song. We're reintroducing some elements, and we're also introducing a tambourine, a shaken tambourine, in addition to a single hit tambourine. Previous 2 choruses only had single hits, so that shaken tambourine is a little extra energy in there to make this last chorus feel a little bit bigger. And that's it. Those are all the elements to this song. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to hear the full version, mastered, all that stuff, check it out on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you listen to music. Or if you want to buy the EP, it's a novel idea, you can do that over at joegildermusic.com. Also, final thing, just today as I'm shooting this video, I got all the multi-tracks of this song put together into my mix practice product that you can buy. So if you go over to homestudiocorner.com/practice, you can get access to all the multi-track files to this EP, my previous EP, and then the previous 3 full-length albums, all of that, and anything I release in the future, including all the 4 EPs I'm going to do this year. So if you want more material, if you like this and you want to really dive in and see all the tracks and the ins and outs and mix it yourself or remix it yourself or re-record some parts yourself, it's all there for you. Check it out. It's called Mix Practice. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks.